We could have your attention. This is actually the bell from Malachite School, if you're going up past Creek Road. So this was the bell that the teachers would use to call in the kids. And the speaker will have the bell. And we wanted to welcome everyone to the Gardner History Organization event. Me and Harold are going to tell the story of Archulettaville. That's where I was born. And then we're going to open up the floor for anyone else. I definitely would like Ray Garcia to speak. We got Ron Sandoval, that is a history buff here. We got Sandy, we got several. So we want everyone to take a turn, share anything that you know about Gardner history. Me and Harold have been working together doing some cool history on the internet. You could find it on me or Harold's Facebook. There's lots of it coming out. I was born at Archulettaville on February 16th, 1978. My mom's right here. Love you. Thank you. And I was part, basically, of the counterculture movement, the hippie generation. They came in here during the 1970s. I grew up past Creek Road, about 3 miles up there at Last Ditch Homestead, and grew up here in the Gardner Valley. I went to the Gardner preschool, Gardner school, till I was like freshman in high school. Well, I came back and forth. Thanks, Mom. And graduated from John Mall High School. And Harold, would you like to share your story about Archulettaville and Dam?
I might not be able to speak out the way a lot of it just happened, but I was actually, my mud was situated in Redwood. My father had bought a piece of property, I think it was in the late 40s. And he used to be a field worker. He came from Mexico. He got his paperwork and everything situated. He met my mother in Pueblo. And they got together, and my father ended up meeting the family, her family and everything like that, and they got together. And they traveled to Wyoming and Montana and everything, and he used to work for the Holly Sugar. And he learned how to talk in Italian and in English. He came into this country when he was 11, 12 years old. And when he settled over here, I got his story here, but anyway, he settled here and he bought the piece of property from Henry King. And the King family, there's still, I think, property that the Kings still own around here. But anyway, I grew up, we went to Swing, worked for Holly Sugar, came back, and I used to come back with my mother because my grandma was alive, but she was sickly, so my mom would take care of her. And I'd come up here and be with the uncles, my Uncle Fred, my Uncle Adolph, my Uncle Dan, and my Uncle Max. And I grew up with them. I learned about horses and things like that with them. And I grew up actually as being Dan's son, because he never had no kids. He was married to Rose, or Perea, or I think her last, but I can't remember the last name. But anyway, that, and I have a lot of family here, just like Ray Garcia. A lot of his family grew up here. But anyway, as I grew up there, he had that little house up on the hill. He got that from Overfelt. And Overfelt had the White place. And Grandma's place, they used to raise sheep. And then back in them days, that's what this whole country was, more basically sheep. But anyway, this man got born up there at that place. And I used to stay with Uncle Dan up on that little house where this man got born at. And I could have a lot of history about that, but this man will tell you a lot more history there. But in the 60s, I think 69 or stuff like that, people were coming from all over, Chicago, California, and everywhere. They called them hippies. But yet my uncle had little shack, but they're like caverns back there that people would rent from him, but he wouldn't rent it. He says, you guys take care of everything around here for me while I work in Colorado Springs. And he used to work in Colorado Springs, come up, he used to go to Callahan sales or all the sales. He'd bring chickens, pigs, and horses. He'd load up his car with horses or whatever.
Yeah, you'd see him in the car with the horse in the back.
Okay, but anyway, I grew up with him. There was a big round pen up there on the hill that's already gone. Built a lot of little buildings, and there was a lot of people that lived there. People from AAA lived there. And then when Sergio Avila sold them that piece of property, a lot of the hippies or the people that came in moved that way. Ben Eagle, Chapita, all of a sudden she kind of like became a millionaire because of the earrings she was beating and everything. She went all over the country and everything. I worked for him. My wife worked for him. A lot of people here in Gardner were beating earrings and everything like that for that, and they lived in Archuletaville also. But anyway, a lot of the people from the communes were kind of gathered up together. We'd have some music festivals, and I got a little history there on that too. But anyway,
Would you like to tell us a little bit about the history of the De Gallo Rodeo, please?
well, the Gallo Rodeo started years ago, and they called it the Day of San Juan or vice versa. And that was the day that the water was blessed, that you could go swimming and this and that. And then we had an arena right back here, which ended up being the another Archuleta, the one that owns the Starlight right there.
Paco.
Paco's father owned that.
Ben Archuleta.
His brother ended up with that little piece of property. And then in time past, I fenced this fence that's put there to the hill over there because we started these rodeos here back in 87 or 86 when we built the arena. Actually, Ray Garcia was, we had the old stockyard over here where that sign right there that for the scales, there was a scale there. And I got that right there. He brought some bulls and this and that, and I think they were having something like a chuck wagon up there. So the kids, we had the kids just riding bulls and this and that. And that's when Tony Pondo told me that there was still part of the Cattlemen's Association related to this building, because this building where it sits was bought for $1 from Wilburn and Pepper and other people that are written there in a story that I got. We have the Cattlemen's Association, but it was to build this building. But the rest of the property was still Cattlemen's Association, because I talked to Ray Price. I think it was Ray Price. Ray Price, and Ray wanted to start a new Cattlemen's Association thing, which we started, but we never set it all up. But Mr. Pondo gave that as an arena for the Gallo Rodeo. So it's been the Gallo Rodeo arena on this situation. But and we've had rodeos almost every year except for the last 2-3 years, and I'm planning on putting a rodeo this June. And I got to go talk to the commissioners and see how we could get things situated so we could have our spectators insurance, because that's the most expensive thing that costs to put a show on. And it's not really for the contestants. It's for people like you, in case something comes out of the arena and hits you, or if you trip and fall or something like that, you're covered, that you don't sue the Gallo Rodeo. And we have, for kids, I have a piece of paperwork that says if you're participating in anything, you have to have a notarized signature that your parents are going to let you write, and you got to fill out a form so that you could be in the rodeo. But anyway, as far as it goes, that arena was actually made for the kids, so they have some entertainment, something that they could do. Back at the time that I was putting rodeo, we brought 3 carnivals here. And the carnivals did good, they enjoyed it, they do repairs on it because they had more time to do things like that. But if we get together we could have a good function. We could have an old-time frontier function here for 2-3 days on a good rodeo. But it's something that we would have to all talk as a community to bring something together, because everything's just falling apart. We got a highway here with trucks and everything. State Patrol was up here yesterday. The Sheriff Department comes up here a lot now, which we didn't have none of that. But now they're catching speeders and everything. But we got people, we could slow people down, but we don't even have a gas station. You know, we could have economy here. So that's what we got to think of. And all this that I got here is stuff that I collected, found on the trails, and I cowboyed a lot. I know a lot of this country.
To touch on a little bit of our history here in Gardner, Colorado, this was basically the borderlands between the Ute Indians in the mountains and the Plains Indians. At times, the Arkansas River was the Spanish border, the Mexican border. Settlers came in to Werfenau County in the mid-1850s. You have Fort Tapia, which was Fort Talpa, which is Farisita. The building is still there. It has a full basement. It has bars on the window. It was a jail downstairs. That was one of the earliest Hispano settlements in this whole area. And that building is actually on the historic list in Colorado as the #1 most endangered historic building. You'll see the back walls are kind of stinted up. It needs some quick work to get that fixed. I'm dedicated to trying to find those resources and make that happen. You had folks from northern New Mexico. Those were our first settlers that were coming in here. They came into Archuletaville. They came into Maze Creek. They came into Turkey Creek. You had the Penitentes. That was Los Hermanos Penitentes, I think. Don't quote me there. And that was basically like a lay association of Catholics. They built moradas. They were just low-key buildings where they did their prayers, they lit their candles, and they believed in penance. And some of that kind of overshadowed what they were. They were a Catholic service and mutual aid where they took care of each other. So that was some of the early, and that was when you had priests and it was just too far for them to travel, or they didn't have churches. So the people built them themselves. We've identified where 4 of them sit right now. I believe there's a couple more. I think there's actually a couple more than 6 or 7 in Werfenau County, which has always been the number. So is there anything else you'd like to share, Harold? And then we could pass the torch to whoever else would like to speak.
As far as the history goes, all I know is the history of my relation, the Archuletas and Cárdenas, and a little history of the Garcias, because the Garcias were here for a long time, and the Garcias were related to my wife's side of the family. So he could tell more about the history. He could, if he would tell us a little history of what it would be nice.
Yeah.
Come on, Ray.
Woo!
He's part of the same much that a lot of us are made of.
I don't know where to start or even if I can speak loud enough, but I was born in Gardner in the house that Harold lives in. That belonged to my grandpa, who was my dad's stepdad. That's where I was born. I did a lot of travel in this little town while I was little. My family came here in this valley in 1862. And they came from Los Lunas, New Mexico, which is on the south side by Las Cruces. It's part of Las Cruces now. That's where my family come from. He was talking about Farisita, the Montoya house. Mm-hmm. That's the house, the original house there. That was built by my great-great-grandfather.
Wow.
He was a builder that built in adobes. He taught his son to build, and his son, my great-grandpa, was the superintendent that helped build who oversaw the building of the Catholic Church in 1913. This property here, Harold was talking about, right here, there was a baseball diamond. Gardner had a double-A baseball team in the late 50s.
What was the name, Ray?
I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know. Okay.
I don't know the name, but I know I came to watch some of the games here, and then they decided in about 1960 they disbanded that baseball team, and we built here a rodeo ground, right here where this is at, and had big parades that go up and down the street, big parades. But at that time, there were a lot of people in Gardner and the whole surrounding area. I didn't bring with me, I have it, I gotta find it, a picture of Gardner in 1872. There was about 6 houses. The Agnes store, which is up on the southwest side there, was an operating store. In fact, I still have, at home, I have a plate that from 1913 from that store, and it's a calendar plate. But you have that. But I was just telling them that where that Agnes store was, right next to the Agnes store was that 2-story house that you see now down here by the Methodist Church.
The blue
That
one.
was up there by the Agnes store. Floods keep coming down and taking a lot of the riverside and stuff, so they moved that house from the Agnes store down here to where it is now by the Methodist Church. But like I say, around 1960s when they decided to put this up, and then later on in the late, was it 86, you said?
Yeah, 86, 87, when
Built
Tony
here.
Pondo passed away.
Yeah, but before that was in the 70s that they built this.
Yes, but we had the stock gardens over there that were
Right.
run by the Cattlemen's Association. And that's when you came up and we had a dinner at the Methodist for the chuck wagon. And basically, what the arena really built for was for the kids and for people to have entertainment. And it still was going, and I want to keep it going. And it puts on a show for the public, and it belongs to us. That's what it really is. It's for us to utilize. We could put a music festival there. San Isabella Electric donated the poles, donated the lights, and everything. I paid the light bill on it, but while they're turned off, I pay the minimum on it so that we have lights. That way people don't have to run around or whatever. And all I say is just tell me when to put the lights on and you pay the light bill because I know what my minimum is.
Tell us some more, Ray,
But I don't know what else to say about it.
about Gardner, any coal mine and
Ray, could you
Farm and
tell us
ranch.
about the co-op? Because we did have a co-op and it was functionable. You could buy anything there from wire to gas, kerosene, to anything that you wanted, and it got burnt down, I think in 67 or 66.
That before it was a Gardner Mercantile that was owned by Hudson's, and it was an operating store. I shopped there when I was little.
Where was it?
And then in around
The county
1960s,
shop is.
yeah, where the county shop is.
1960s when they formed the co-op, and they bought that store from Hudson's, and they operated that store for several years until it did burn down. And they had a big meat locker in the back that you could store. You paid rent for boxes, and you could store your meat in there. We always did that because we didn't really have refrigeration or in home, so.
Ray, tell us a little bit about some of the stores that used to be on here. Faracita, right, and Red Wing. Anything you remember?
There was 4 stores here in Gardner.
Tell us about it.
There was the Mercantile, the Gardner Mercantile. There was the Agnes store. There was a little store right here at the edge of town, operated by Velarde's. And then they had another one that was operated by Salazar.
But Rosanato's.
And then they had the station for a long time, yes.
When I was a young boy, When I was a young boy, we used to go to one in Red Wing, the store in Red Wing, we used to always stop.
Right.
And then we used to stop in one in Ferrisita.
Yes.
It's like the drinking.
Well, the one in Ferrisita was started by, my great-great-grandpa Harms a lot of years ago, and then they sold that, and Yuleberry started it back up again. That's where they had the post office. And then Yuleberry sold that to my uncle and aunt Abel and Ersie Medina, and they ran it up until about 87, 88, somewhere there. Then they shut it down. And then my uncle, Jorge Valdez, had the one in Red Wing. But I don't remember who it was
And the
before that.
Vincent's, wasn't it, did they have that up there? Wasn't it, Shorty Vincent's and then they had, that?
It could have been, I don't
Before
remember
that,
who it was.
because I remember they had a big eagle in there that was, you probably been in it when they had the post office there.
This is now then.
And then we did have the trading post right here that Joe Calistro ran for about 2-3 years. And we had Raymond's gas station where we used to go buy the big cheap, tablets, and we had,
Oh, the candy.
paper, pencils, and that was a long time, and he was a tireman. He was the one that fixed anybody's tire. I think he retired from fixing tires. He did that for years.
The post office used to be right on the corner. That was a 2-story adobe house. Since we lived on a farm 4 miles down, and there were no buses at the time. So we used to come, Dad would rent a house here in Gardner, and here's where we would stay in the winter time to go to school. Because there was no buses. Buses didn't start running until about 1964, somewhere in there. Before that, you got to Gardner however you could. And buses started running about the time that they added to the school. Before, it was just a very small school, no bathrooms inside, outhouses outside. And about in 64, they added to it and made more rooms and put indoor plumbing.
Is that when all the one-room schoolhouses came into Gardner? When they centralized the schools?
Yes.
When was that, Jay? When they centralized them from the one-room schoolhouses to the Gardner School?
Let's see, I was from my 3rd grade to the 4th grade, so from probably about 1960, 61.
Did y'all ride horses a lot? One of my friends from Gardner said that the younger generation rode horses a lot before, they had a car, they rode their horses.
Well, yeah, they did. This river used to be a river. In the wintertime, it would freeze ice 3 foot thick. And it was wide. It was at least as wide as this building. It was difficult. We didn't have bridges to go over. We used to have to put straw and haul dirt, and we'd make a bridge out of the ice. And we'd cross there until it thawed in the springtime. In the springtime, you couldn't go down the river. There was so much water rolling down that river that you couldn't. My dad, that was raised down further on down, he went to school. There was another school here in Gardner, St. George's School. It was a Catholic school, and a lot of people went to that. My dad went to school there. He would ice skate. I still have his skates.
That's cool.
Down in our place, all the way up to Gardner, go to school on skates, and go home on skates. It was a lot easier for him to do it that way than he.
And walk in the snow, right? Yeah.
But
Tell us a little bit about, the jobs that were here and like kind of what was happening for work around here in the older days.
probably centralized here to a certain extent, right where the telephone building is, that little open space there was a big sawmill.
Mm-hmm.
A big sawmill that was, by the time I was little, it was already shut down. But there were big piles of sawdust. There's still a lot of timber and stuff there, but that's where some people were employed. And then later on, there was the Northrop a sawmill, which is a little bit further up on the Muddy Creek.
Was that where the CCC camp was, like the Civil Conservation Corps during the Great
CCC
Depression?
CCC camp was further up on the Greenhorn, because Dad was part of that. He was in the CC. He was too young to be in the WPA, so he was part of the CCC.
And that was a program during the Great Depression to try to help people, right?
Exactly.
Ray, you know where Chavez Plaza was? I heard a lot
Yes.
of people know. You
Yeah.
got wiped out in the flood in the late
Yes.
1800s. Whereabouts was that today?
It's about 2.5 miles downstream, okay, on that side of the river. When I was 14 years old, we were digging, and we had to redig a ditch. And digging there, we dug up a lot of the ruins that were there. Dad knew that, and my brother even, there was some houses there when my brother was, he's 6 years older, when he was little, they went and took some of the VGOT off of the house that was still there. But then, I don't know, probably 30 years ago, Chavez family from Pueblo asked me to show them where actually the Plaza de los Chavez was. I went and took them there. They got a metal detector. They found the bell that was on that church.
Wow.
And they put it up at the Chavez Cemetery, which is on the hill down here off that side. So the original town was just a little bit further east, down below by the river. And floods eventually took it out. And there was a big reservoir way up on the upper Huerfano, that Goose Reservoir, that was built when they were mining gold. They were mining gold way up the upper on Mount Blanca, and they built this reservoir. And then they had a big fire. There was a town up there even. A fire wiped out the whole town and stuff, so they quit the mining. And in 1910, big flood come down, busted that reservoir, the Goose Reservoir, and it came down and finished taking out Chavez Town. That's what finished it at that time.
Ray, is that where the Stevenson Ranch is? They have 300 acres, some of that. Davis, Pam and Bruce.
Yeah, where Pam Stevens, yes. She's right there, right above it.
Ray, I got something that I found up by Lily Lake. And I got rock that has gold on it. And I got well, this silver is silver from Westcliff, from Silvercliff. And here's malachite. I found this around the malachite. Where we have malachite there, the shaft was right behind the big building where Garcia's had. And what Manuel Garcia. But here's malachite from
Malachite.
We do have minerals here. And Mr. Salomon Cordova found copper on the Copper Bowl Ranch. Up on that area, but there was, I guess back at the time, there might be a big vein there or not, because he mined it a little bit, but they shut him down. Just like there's a gold mine, the Barnett Gold Mine, it got shut down too. And put poles up to the, so there is gold in this country. But to find it, they had like about 1,500 people to 2,000 people that lived from here, from the Williams all the way up the mountain, or Turkey Creek all the way up the mountain, because there's mines and that are claimed for. But I can't tell you no more than that. But this was found where he was talking about.
Harold, how many hammer mills were out there?
What do you mean
Steam
hammer
power?
mills?
There was several. There was one right above, as you turn off of Highway 69 and start up County Road 550, just as you want to climb there, there was a grist mill right there that was owned by Hudson's, and it was fed by a ditch. It's called the mill ditch. It starts further upstream comes down over the top of the hill, because as you're going up, there's a big hill on this side. That ditch came all the way to the top of that hill. And from the top of that hill, they ran a sluice down and ran that grist mill for flour. They also had a grist mill in Malachite that was owned by, I forget the name.
Gonzalez's later on, or Gonzalez?
No, this was even before that. I can't remember his name. That place there. But there was a grist mill there too.
Is that what Graneros going to Colorado City?
Graneros, yeah.
There was a grain mill up there.
There's that pipeline that was all wood that went all the way from Graneros way out there for the railroad. Are you familiar with that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Yes.
What do you know about the Montes Reservoir up on top?
What's that again?
The Montes Canal, way up on top of the work from me.
Yeah.
My great grandfather somewhere was supposed to be the owner of that. Lost
JM.
a card game or something.
J.M. Montes was the one that had that.
That was my great.
But that's not the Montes Reservoir you're talking
No,
about.
okay,
That's the Sierra Blanca Reservoir.
okay.
Further downstream, out here where Colonias is. I don't know if you know where Colonias is, but as you're going towards Red Wing, there's kind of a hill on this side. On the back side of that is called Colonias. In through there, there's 5 reservoirs. Those are the Montes Reservoirs.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1 is the only one operating. Number 2 got breached. Number 5 is operable. Those are the only 2 that are operable. But number 1 is the only one that ever gets used in the winter. But for whatever reason, the one you're talking about further up on Mont Blanca, people call that the Montes Reservoir. It's not. It's the Sierra Blanca Reservoir.
Because my grandfather would tell me stories about that. His grandfather owning it and having being up there. I never listened to that shit.
Well, J.M. Montes, from what I see, he was very famous, well-educated man. He was even a representative. He was
Senator.
a judge, senator. He, a well-respected man.
Tell us a little more about Mr. Montes, if you would, Ray.
I don't know a whole lot about him, and he's way before my time.
Okay. But he was our senator, and that was back, would you want to tell us a little bit maybe about the history of Ludlow? Down the road a little? Okay.
That's mining, that's further on down.
Well, one of the things we started, Ray got asked for was what businesses and what was going on here. We did have 3, 4 different sawmills going at the same time. We had Bill Waldron. We had Cisneros' up in Pass Creek. Like he said, the Northups. The one right behind my house over here by Mrs. Knight on the bottom right there. And Bill Waldron had a sawmill up there, or did I mention him? But we had 3, 4 sawmills here.
Senon had one right there.
Yeah, Senon, and then his daughter and that ended up opening up Corinne's in Walsenburg in the 50s, and it's still open, but they're shut down for a month now. But that's a good place to go eat, but I know that family. A lot of the people are related to that family, and that was businesses we had. But the other thing that we have, and was a lot of buildings going by Turner down to Walsenburg, almost going back to Lavito, was our coal. We had I think it was a Rio Grande or whatever that would come and get the coal and go around. And me and Travis found history. I don't know if it was Dick George or Ray Price that gave me a pen set that they used to sign out when the train come in, and they come into Walsenburg. You can see where the trestle was. They took it up, I don't know what, 10 years ago, the top. Now they're widening up the road. There's for all the construction, but that road train would go all the way through back there, and every little mound of coal or all that slack that they pull out, that train would stop and pick up coal, and they'd go all the way around. And then it'd bring from Denver or wherever it came from a big car full of water to water the people that lived in that part of the country. A lot of my uncles.
Name them, Harold. Name your uncles.
Oh, I can't name them all.
Okay.
Mostly Veronica's. Monica's family worked them mines and everything. Like I've heard the name Monico and them that worked that, and maybe some of your family worked on them mines. But
I will say that where the Alamo mine there was a big structure there for loading cattle on trains.
Yes.
And a lot of the people in here would take their cattle down, load them on a train, and ship them to Denver.
yes,
To sell.
yes.
I
They'd have a big
remember that.
cattle drive from here that would go down out and tire everybody. The people that owned here, the Bar H, and all these settlements here would gather up. But then they built these stockyards because big trucks were coming over here and loading up here and taking them to winter livestock or honey or the R.P. Lewis sale rigs. And then we had Fowler sale rig. We had Alamosa, and we had a set of scales. I got the thing that marks right here. It was through the state. It was a state scale that was here that they weigh their cattle out, so they kind of knew what they were going to get. Because a lot of the people that sell their cattle from up here wouldn't go on the trucks, but they'd sign off.
Well, we had buyers would come in
Also.
and buy. That's why we had scales here, because buyers would come buy the cattle here, weigh them,
Yes.
and all of all. Anything else?
Thank you. Ron, come on up.
Thank you, Mike.
Both of you, come on up.
Let me grab this book.
Okay.
My name is Juan Sandoval. This is my good friend Sandra Dolak, my Gavinga Prima, as I
The nicest compliment I ever had.
I really don't have any living history like Ray and Harold up here, but I have deep roots up here.
Guys, keep it down, please. Go ahead.
My grandmother was from up here. She made Archuleta, Rodriguez's, Cisneros, different families up here. Main thing I want to talk about is about 4 years ago, Sandra Piper Grant from Carolyn Newman and the Workforce Historical Society, myself and my cousin Sylvia worked on a project to figure out who were the founding Hispano families of Worthington County, Colorado. And we got this book. We also have a huge display that we brought it here. We brought it to La Villa, Walsenburg several times. And Sandra secured the grant for us. And it's kind of a pictorial archive of the who were,
You want to just kind of go through and tell us what's in there?
who we had photos of.
Sure.
Of the Atencios and Leon, Plaza de Leones were the founders there, but we had no photos of them.
And 25 was kind of an arbitrary, I needed the number for the grant, so we said, let's see if we can find 25 of the founding Hispano families. Now, it didn't have to do with everybody. What we were looking for was at least 25 that we could find pictures prior to 1900. Even with limiting it at 25 at that point in time, we had 33 families that we ended up showing on our panels. And it's not nearly all the founding families of Worthington County, but it's the ones
We've
we
added a second generation since.
yeah, now we've added a second generation. And if I can find John Dolak, will you go get the volume 1 of the cookbook out of the car, please? I've done 2 cookbooks. This is a shameless plug for the cookbooks, but in the first cookbook, we featured a lot of what this project was. It's got some pictures of the display, and then we were a lot of recipes that came from some of those 25 founding families. There's some. This is volume 2, which I just got out in February, and it's still got some of them too. But volume 1 was really close. But there's lots of good Gardner recipes in this one, and it's not about the recipes. It's
about the
cookbook.
history.
It's not about the recipes. It's history book, picture book, storybook. So if you think there's damn good recipes. and people around the room, I've got really neat stuff from the Suras, that go back. So, you know, this is just one more way of keeping the history going. So, our project with and we need to bring it out here again. Yeah. Because it's so cool. And after we did the 25 founding Hispanic families, it ended up being 33, and then doing the next generation, we've got even more panels. And then we got another small grant and did coal camps and cow camps, how the miners, ranchers, and cowboys, how important they were in settling Orfano County. So we have a whole nother, the panels are 18-foot, 3 6-foot panels that we do on both sides. So there's 36-foot pictures, and now we have 3 of those units. So it's movable, portable, lookable, talkable history.
Ron, you want to just go through some of the, maybe the original 25 for us?
Well, some of these I don't know a lot about. Some are Sylvia's, and they're also Ray's family also. I'll go through some that I know for sure and that I connect to. This is the church up in Chama that was built in, I think 1870s there. That's Our Lady of Guadalupe Church. That was the original photo of it. These people are, this is Miguel Antonio Pino, and she was Maria de Luz Medina. That's the founding family of all the Pino bunch that's up here.
Pinoville.
Yep. I think they had like 13 kids and all these different families. My Montoya is married into them. And I'm not sure who this is. This is
The Bear Creek, this is Trujillo's and Atencios.
from Bear Creek.
From Bear
Yeah.
Creek there.
Yeah.
Okay. And these ones.
This is
Pedro Garcia and Gabriela Garcia.
Okay.
And Pedro Garcia and Maria Martinez.
Okay.
And this is Pedro Jose Gomez and Isabel Trujillo St. Vrain.
St. Vrain Grant.
She was a daughter of Sedan St. Vrain. And they're the founding ancestors of the Gomez family from up here.
That's awesome.
My great-grandmother was a Gomez, Teodorita Gomez. This is...
You know, it's neat because these things are on the display, so we'll bring the display.
Yeah.
But Jose Valdez and Manuela Archuleta from Los Hermanes.
Los Hermanos. That's
Yeah.
it's over today. It's over by Bear Creek.
Okay.
Los Hermanes, Jose Antonio, I think that
Jose Antonio de Jesus Valdez and Maria
Salazar.
Severina Salazar. We go back. That's who they are. This is
Malachite. Chacanito Jose Gonzalez.
Jacinto Jose Gonzalez. They were from Malachite. There's a Gonzalez bunch from Malachite. There was a Pedro Pantaleon Gonzalez had a blacksmith shop in Malachite. He was the father of Pedro Pantaleon Gonzalez. These are, let me see,
Turkey Creek.
Jose
Ramon
Ramon
Trujillo.
Trujillo and Donaciana Manchego.
Okay.
And we've got recipes from her in this
Yeah,
cookbook.
they were
So cool.
a Turkey Creek family.
Yeah.
And
I've seen that one.
These are the Avilas. This is Juan Santos Avila. One of these is my aunt. I'm not sure. Let me see. Juan Santos Avila and Francisca
Rodriguez
Rodriguez
from
and
Crestones.
Mara de la Cruz Rodriguez.
From Creston.
Yeah, I don't know which one is Cruz, but this would have been his second wife.
Okay.
I'm really into the Avilas up here. And this is Jesus Maria Martinez,
And Cuchara.
a Cuchara family.
Okay. Yeah, the one downriver, not up on the
Yeah,
mountain.
The real one.
And these are Jose Ramon Martinez y Valdez and Maria Doloritas Rodriguez.
And Chama.
Yep, Chama. She's my great aunt, and he's one of the founders of Pure Creaciones. And this is Jose de los Reyes Casillas, La Colonia Martinez Valdez.
Is this Sylvia's family?
Yeah, Chama.
Yeah.
Chama.
From Chama.
And this will be Juan Jeronimo Bustos and Carmela Manzaneros. I would think they're Cucharas family. Just guessing surnames. This is Juan de Dios Naranjo and Juanita Gomez. She's my great aunt. And they had a little settlement. They didn't last long up here by Red Wing Cruz Naranjo Plaza.
Say it again?
Cruz Naranjo Plaza.
Okay.
One of my great grandma was born there, and this would be Cruz Naranjo's son,
What was his name?
Juan de Dios
Okay.
Naranjo, and Marita Gomez.
They're such pretty people.
And this is mine and Harold's great grandparents. This is Jose Rafael Archuleta and Maria Inez Cisneros. He came from Chamita, New Mexico here. His father, Jose de la Cruz Archuleta, was one of the founders of Creaciones. And I think these are Montez's. Jesus Maria Montez and Juana Maria Mays, and the Montez's I know about, they're from the Muddy over here.
Muddy Creek up there, yeah.
On a calendar, and I got your picture, but I don't know. I can't.
And this is Juana Maria Lucero and
Saturated.
Pablita Manzaneros, a Cucharas family.
Good to see you.
Beautiful.
You're part of my history.
And these are my third great grandparents, Miguel Antonio Vallejos and Maria Paula Martin. He was one of the founders of Cucharas east of here. And he was one of the founders of San Luis.
Martin Ditch, right?
Yeah.
From a milk.
And these are also some great grandparents of mine. This is Juan de Jesus Vigil and Maria Manuela Valdez. They're from North Veta, where the Navajo.
Okay,
area is.
Navajo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was born in 1835 in Arroyo Hondo, New Mexico. And by the early 1800s, he had the largest sheep operation in southern Colorado.
How many sheep?
5,000.
Wow.
He ended up being a wealthy man.
You should.
And this is Charles family, Jose Leonidas Valdez and Maria Hilario Naranjo. Cucharas.
Tell me if this project wasn't fun.
Right.
And here we have Juan Isidoro Sanchez and Candelaria Martinez, a Yellowstone family. And these some more great grandparents of mine, Jesus Maria Montoya and Juliana Sanchez. He was born in 1841 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She was born in Costilla, New Mexico.
Okay.
And she's part of a big Arellano family that's big, huge family from Costilla, New Mexico.
One of the interesting things that Eric Carpio, this is the director of the museum over in Fort Garland, when we started this project, was interested in, because people came up from Costilla, skipped Costilla County, and came to Warpino County. And at that point in time, they were had the Buffalo Soldiers stationed in Fort Garland, and part of what their role was to displace many of the Hispano homesteaders and ranchers down there, so that the land would become available for mostly Europeans to come in.
Mining started to get big around in that area.
Yeah, so they just skipped that whole lower tier. Some got as far as San Luis, Costilla in New Mexico, but then they came right into Warpino County.
Yeah, the migration route, from what I've heard about genealogists, kind of the Arroyo Hondo and Taos families and the Conejos County families from around Antonito, that area. primarily came to Warfield County.
Yeah.
There were others, but mainly Taos and Arroyo Hondo, New Mexico.
Makes sense.
Yep. I'll continue on. This is Nestor Manzanares and Feliciana Sanchez. They're a Crestones family. The Manzanares, the founding family. And Gardner. Jose Antonio Ulivari and Manuela Trujillo, Gardner family, founding Gardner family. Sylvia did such a great job at restoring these pictures. These are magnificent. And we have another Gardner family, Jesus Maria Velarde and Maria Manuela Chavez.
Gave a lot.
Some kinfolk right here.
And these are some more great grandparents of mine. This is Juan Bautista Rodriguez and Teodorita Vigil. He came early. Last census I have, they were in Santa Clara Pueblo in Mexico in 1840. And then they came to Conejos County and on up to here. And they ended up settling in Crestones. And here we have another Crestones family, Filomeno Cardenas and Brigida Quintana. Crestones.
I just think it's amazing that these pictures have endured, and they're beautiful.
North Veta family, which is today around Navajo Ranch. And this is Tomas Rodriguez and Magdalena Chacon. And I believe this is another Tricky Creek family. No, Bedito. David Manchego and Julianita Martinez. Chama family, Juan Claudio Martinez, Maria Nestora Vigil, Manuelita Martinez, Chama. And these are my great-grandparents, Juan Pablo Sandoval and Maria Tomasa Vigil. He's came from Arroyo Hondo, and she was born in Conejos County.
Awesome.
Chavez. Here we have a Turkey Creek family, Daniel Montano and Rachel Lucero, Turkey Creek family.
Woo! Here, we got them in the house here with us. Does anyone have any questions for Ron or Sandy?
Well, I just want to know if there's a map of anything of all these towns that we newcomers don't know where the heck you're talking about. There's
a big map.
an old map of all these little, because I've only been here a year and I have no idea where you're talking about any of these places are.
Right here, and here.
Yeah, up that creek.
Just something I thought,
Work on something like that.
get another grant, Sandy.
I think we've got maps on our big ones.
Yeah, like Ray mentioned Colonias, nobody knows what Colonias.
I do.
Yeah, there's people been here.
Colonias has good
Go ahead,
history.
Harold.
But anyway, I want to present these people a couple of ribbons because they came and gave us an expression of what they have had here in our country. And if you brought something to show us and talk about it, you might get a blue ribbon.
Excellent.
And here's these ones.
Woo! Thank you all.
If any of you use social media, I have a Facebook group with over 5,000 members, early Hispano families in Workville County, Colorado. There's a search bar on top. Type in the search bar, and I got thousands of pictures there, thousands of stories and New Mexico.
And he's so humble about what he does, but he's respected all over southern Colorado. And in New Mexico, he's real involved with the Hispanic group in Pueblo, which is real fun to go to. They meet the second Saturday of the month down by the Pueblo Museum that's across from the train depot. He is a wizard, but he's a humble wizard.
I study everything from when the Moors invaded Spain in 700 to Cortez invading Mexico in 1519 to the founding of Santa Fe and San Luis and up here.
Related to half the founders in the book, right?
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated with with the sheep and the wool and the churro sheep. That's kind of where I came into the picture and learning about the huge sheep industry out here. And now, my tall friend's gonna get some sheep.
One more thing before you leave. You talked about the soldiers that were in Fort Gardner, and you called them
Buffalo soldiers.
Buffalo soldiers. They
Wow.
rode a Hamley saddle, or not a. Well, I got a saddle here. They take a saddle. They had binoculars. They had saddlebags. And they wore a hat and tall boots for the brush and a saber in case they ran across trouble, plus their guns or whatever. But this is what you would see the cavalry wearing, and a lot of it. We had 3 forts here, or that I know of, from Badito to going across the mountain over here. There was a one right there, and there was one here, and I would say it was by my house or at my house.
Wow.
Because these cannonballs that I have over there, I found them in a wall between me and a neighbor called Albert Archuleta. And I had found some brushes, and that had US on it. That was watch, it's gonna run you over. And these cannonballs have been used, because you could see where they hit a wall or some, because a chunk of them is a little bit worn out or blown off. And I have some more at the Museum of Friends in Walsenburg, and I have a display over there. So, and I know that this lady has a display of whatever, but I got to get her some of this stuff too, so she could have something down there. But maybe I shouldn't be jumping the gun, but I have a lot to say about whatever's here after everybody gets done telling us about their history or what they want to know about their history. So, Travis, you take it from here.
Okay. If you are interested in the cookbooks, I'll leave a couple on the table. You can look at them, and shamelessly, I have them for sale. I've got about 20 of volume 1 left, but they're pretty neat.
So the floor is open for anyone else that'd like to share some history.
And actually, thanks to San Isabel Electric, they've been a sponsor of both cookbooks. I think it has a lot to do with my friend Ray Garcia believing in what we're doing.
Go ahead, Ray.
Only because I've been on San Isabel board for 42 years. I just want to state that I did bring, if you want to research about this valley, there was an engineer, civil engineer, that lived in Turkey Creek, up here on the foot of the Greenhorn Mountain. His last name is Fendo. He wrote articles for the Pueblo Chieftain. These articles are from, I have 1873, 1874, and didn't get them all, but got several of them. But if you want to do research, you can do research through Pueblo Chieftain about this guy writing for. He had a different outlook. He was non-Hispanic, called the people up there all Mexicans, okay? Which they weren't, but anyway, they were Hispanics, not really Mexicans.
Hispanos.
Although a lot of them were, it's just that the border crossed them, they didn't cross the border.
Absolutely. Anyone else want to share? Come on up.
We're going to start cards now, but there's a really great book if anybody's interested. It's called Colorado South of the Border. It was written in the 1960s by a writer for the Pueblo Chieftain. It's available on Amazon, and it covers the history from Colorado, from the Arkansas River down, including like the Pueblo Flood, Chief Ute, Shark Ranch, cattle ranching, the sheep ranching, grazing. So it's really a great read.
Thanks. Well, we just want to thank you all for coming out. We got more food, desserts, coffee. Come check out the artifacts, and thank you all for your time today, for the first one.